Libertadores is set to be contested by fierce Buenos Aires rivals Boca Juniors and River Plate. Boca booked their spot on Wednesday in knocking out Palmeiras in the process. Suhail Malik has more.
A spot in the biggest match in South American club football, the Copa Libertadores final, was on the line in Sao Paulo. Luis Felipe Scolari's Palmeiras were looking to make a comeback against Argentina's Boca Juniors, who, despite leading 2-0 from the first leg, were without suspended coach Guillermo Barros Golotto on the touchline. That didn't seem to matter early on. The Buenos Aires side struck first. Ramon Abila put them 3-0 ahead on aggregate, leaving their Brazilian opponents with an uphill task. Palmeiras didn't give up though. Luan scored just after half-time to cut Boca's advantage. And there was real hope when they were awarded a penalty soon after. Gustavo Gomez doing the necessary on the hour. And all of a sudden, the comeback was on. It was short-lived though. Dario Benedito dashing the hopes of the home side. His long ranger sealing a 4-2 aggregate win and a place for the Argentinians in the final.
We know the value goals have when you're a visitor. It's a big merit of the players to have taken control in Buenos Aires and even here in Sao Paulo, a very difficult rival.
When we scored the first goal, then the second goal, it motivated us. We had the chance of the third goal, but it didn't happen.
Boca can now look forward to a showdown with fierce Buenos Aires rivals River Plate in the final. Suhail Malik, Al Jazeera.
On Copa Sudamericana, Brazilian side Fluminense won the second leg of their game against Nacional to reach the semi-finals. They won 1-0, Luciano getting the goal in Montevideo just after half-time. The home side were unable to find an equalizer. Fluminense held on to win 2-1 on aggregate. FIFA President Gianni Infantino is again pushing the idea of increasing the number of teams at the Qatar World Cup and sharing the hosting rights with other nations in the region. Infantino was speaking at the opening of the Asian Football Confederation Congress in Kuala Lumpur. FIFA has already decided to up the number of teams at the 2026 tournament, which will be co-hosted by the US, Canada, and Mexico. But those plans might be brought forward if Infantino gets his way. Well, we spoke to Nasser Al-Khater from the 2022 Supreme Committee. He told us nothing is impossible, but that as things stand, Qatar is sticking firmly to Plan A.
Our reaction and our position hasn't changed, Sana, since the last time this was discussed. As you know, that this idea was discussed right before the World Cup in Russia in 2018. It was discussed again in Kigali, in Rwanda, in the last FIFA Council meeting last week, and again in this forum as well here in Kuala Lumpur during the AFC Congress. It was discussed. So it's not a new subject. Our position is we need to wait for this consultation process to take place because we don't know exactly what this means. I mean, technically speaking, everything is possible. It's just that we need to understand the format, how it's going to change, how many days would be increased for a 48-team World Cup. And we take it from there. Let the consultation begin. Let us look at the feasibility of it, and then we would be in a better place to say what our position is. At this time, it's just too early to say anything. Our timelines as they are, our stadiums are going to be delivered in the time we promised. It hasn't affected our budget. For all sakes and purposes, this World Cup is moving ahead as planned. We are still planning and working towards a 32-team World Cup. All our plans are towards a 32-team World Cup. In relation to the blockade and the political situation right now in the Middle East and the Gulf, it's something that we let the politicians deal with. For us, you know, we're going to keep an open door policy as we have been. Everybody's welcome. We welcome everybody to come to Qatar. And this still and will remain a Middle Eastern World Cup and for the entire Middle East. And that's our position and will remain to be our position.
Our sports correspondent Lee Wellings believes that Infantino's comments over in Malaysia are driven more by FIFA's internal politics than anything else.
It's been a very difficult week for him politically. There's been a cyber incident around FIFA that means some negative information could be set to be released about FIFA. He knows that, he's nervous about that, so he wants to distract from that. Also, he's standing in Kuala Lumpur and talking to people who want to hear that there's a chance for more teams in, of course, a tournament that's happening in their continent. So he knows he's preaching to the converted, that there are people in there who will eventually have a vote for his attempt to hang on to the FIFA presidency. More nations involved, more money for them. These are politics that got him into the presidency in the first place.
And as if facing LeBron James on court isn't scary enough, he took things to another level ahead of the LA Lakers Halloween showdown with the Dallas Mavericks on Wednesday. He arrived at the Staples Center dressed as one of the most iconic villains of all time, Jason from the Halloween movies. Well, ironically, it was Dallas, though, that gave LA a fright. They overturned a 13-point final quarter deficit and nearly came away with the win. But LeBron, who scored 29 on the night, reverted to his role as hero rather than villain, sinking a free throw to seal a 114-113 win. Oh, Derrick Rose was the star of the night for Minnesota Timberwolves. He scored a career-high 50 points to help his team beat the Utah Jazz 128-125 in what it looked like a memorable night for the player. Rose walked off the floor in tears after his stunning performance. The 2011 MVP has been struggling with injuries in the past few years. Novak Djokovic will reclaim the tennis world #1 spot regardless of how much further he progresses at the Paris Masters. That's because his rival and current #1 Rafael Nadal has pulled out with an abdominal injury, clearing the way for the Serb.
Better than what I really thought 1 week ago. But it's true that the last few days I start to feel a little bit the abdominal. So especially when I was serving, and I was checking with the doctor, and the doctor says that it's recommended to not play, because if I continue, the abdominal maybe can break, and can be a major thing, and I really don't want that.
The Boston Red Sox were celebrated in their home city on Wednesday with the parade through the city. These are the scenes in Boston. The Red Sox clinched the World Series a few days ago with an emphatic 4-1 series win over the Los Angeles Dodgers. While they clinched the championship on the road, it is their 4th World Series title this century after a drought that lasted more than 8 decades. The city of Boston is becoming used to the championship titles. The Red Sox, basketball's Celtics, ice hockey's Bruins, and the NFL's New England Patriots have delivered 11 crowns since 2001. Well, that's it for me. We'll have more sports later on.